Today is my official 53-man roster for who I think the Giants will take. This is not who I want. This is what I think the Giants will do, which is more important than my opinion, obviously. But last video, I kind of listed some names of who I thought was going to make it, who I thought was going to get cut. Of course, I changed my mind since then, but that just happens. There's a lot of going back and forth between players. There's a lot of close position battles. A lot of fun stuff to go over in this video, so let's just hop into it real quick because I'm sure this video will take a long time. So yeah, there's a lot to take in here. I put every guy on one page. I didn't want to do it position by position. I thought this would be easier to look at instead of like fast forwarding and going to certain points of the video. So this way, everything is just thrown at you at once. So the quarterback position, we know the first two. It's pretty easy. Jones and Manning. Manning's going to start the season. I would rather start Jones, but that's the way the Giants are going to go about it. We all have our own opinions about that. And it's the Lauletta against Tanny debate. And it seemed like for a while that Tanny had the job locked up. But his last two preseason performances have not been that good. He's been kind of careless with the ball. I think he threw an interception or two last game. I think he has a couple turnovers in there. And Kyle Lauletta has just looked better. I mean, that's not what the practice reports are saying, but based off what I'm seeing in the game, Lauletta does look better. So, I mean, the practice reports favor Tanny, but what I see in the game favors Lauletta. And I think the Giants will favor what happens in a game more than practice. So I do think Lauletta's going to make it. I could see Tanny making it. That's definitely not final. It's just what I think is going to happen. So I did pick Lauletta over Tanny to make my final 53. And by the way, I will try to put highlights in here as much as I can. It's kind of hard because like everything is copyrighted nowadays, and you would like to be monetized because it takes kind of a while to make these whole graphs and stuff like that. I'm sure you guys understand, but I will try to put highlights in this video. So running backs, we know Saquon Barkley, best running back in the league. That's easy. Wayne Gallman is his backup. I think that's pretty obvious as well from what we've seen in preseason, from what the reports say. It seems like Wayne Gallman is for sure his backup. I don't think he's like a handcuff type of guy, like, you know, for fantasy football reasons, like people talk about handcuffs. A handcuffed running back is like someone that would come in and take the workload of the guy who went down in front of him. If Saquon Barkley, God forbid, went down, you know, knock on wood, doesn't happen. But if it were to happen, Wayne Gallman's not going to get Saquon Barkley's workload. It's going to be split between two guys, which I think is going to be Paul Perkins. A lot of you think that it might be Rod Smith. I have Paul Perkins making it. I think he offers more, brings more to the table, much better receiver than Rod Smith and even John Hilliman. I think Hilliman might be on the practice squad. We'll see how that plays out. And Elijah Penny, I mean, you could put him under fullback, but to make a whole nother group would take up a lot of space. And I obviously can't afford to waste space on this page because it took a lot to cram in here. So I have Elijah Penny making it as well. So 4 running backs, 3 running backs / 1 fullback, however you want to say it. 4 guys right there. For wide receiver, no surprise at the top. Sterling Shepard is our number 1. Cody Latimer, please stay healthy this year. I really want to see you play all 16 games. Benny Fowler seems to have a connection with Eli and Daniel Jones. It seems like he's going to make it. Russell Shepard is the type of guy that would be like a shocking cut. I don't think he will be cut. Does a lot of nice thing on punt recoveries as the gunner. So, I mean, he does good things on special teams, and I think they'll keep him around. Darius Slayton, you need to stay healthy as well. He has the hamstring issues. It flared up again after last game, according to Pat Shurmur, so you hate to see that. But I think he'll be back by week 1, week 2. I mean, I don't think he'll miss too much time with this, but I do hope the Giants take it slow. They don't need to rush him back. TJ Jones, I have him making it as the last guy. Of course, I don't have Alonzo Russell making it, not Reggie White. I think there's a chance one of those guys comes on, and you guys obviously can see I don't have Golden Tate here because Golden Tate will be suspended the first 4 games, as we know, and that does not count as taking up a roster spot on the 53. So when he does come back, Golden Tate, someone's going to have to be cut or sent down to the practice squad. That's just how it works, but this is like a week 1 53-man roster type of thing, so right now Golden Tate is not on this team, so I have TJ Jones making it, who's kind of similar to Golden Tate. He's obviously not as good as he is, but you know, they played on the Lions together, both went to Notre Dame, both slot receivers, punt returners. I mean, they basically do the same thing. I feel like you have a poor man's Golden Tate that can fill in for 4 games. He won't be as good, but at least you have a guy who's somewhat like Golden Tate. For tight end, it might be a surprise. Of course, the first 2 guys is easy. We have Evan Engram, Rhett Ellison. Engram should have a breakout year for this team as long as he's healthy. I say that for a lot of people, but it's true in his case. Very talented, needs to stay on the field. And I do have Garrett Dickerson making it and CJ Conrad over Scott Simonson. And I'm sure a lot of you think Scott Simonson's going to make it, but I haven't been impressed by him from the preseason. I've seen 2 key drops from him in the preseason that should have been first downs. He dropped both of them. His head just looks like he's not. He just looks like he's not in the game right now mentally. I don't know what's going on with him. I don't know what he's doing in practice. We saw Simonson a lot last year. He did some good things, and he wasn't too impressive. So I think the Giants know what they have in Scott Simonson. They might take a chance on these unproven guys like Dickerson and C.J. Conrad. I think Dickerson's going to make it. I think it's Conrad versus Simonson. The Giants do like to have 4 tight ends. I think that's what they did last year at least, so that's probably what will happen. So there should be 4 tight ends, and I do have it as Garrett Dickerson, C.J. Conrad, and of course the top 2 guys at Engram and Ellison. We can debate about that, and we do find out who actually makes it on August 31st. That's the deadline for anyone wondering. So August 31st at like 4 p.m., the rosters have to be slimmed down to 53 people, so that's when we'll find out if you're wondering. The offensive line, which a lot of Giants fans, myself included, are excited about this year. Big improvements there. Nate Solder, year 2 for the Giants. It's probably like year 9 or 10 for him in the NFL. He's been around for a while. I think he turns 30 this year, so happy birthday to him. Well, not happy birthday, but you get it. He's turning 30, so I don't even know. I think we signed him at 29, so you get it. Will Hernandez entering his 2nd year in the NFL, so that's cool. I hope he improves. He showed some really bright moments last year. I think he'll get better, obviously, with the chemistry with Solder next to him, and now Jalapeno is going to be next to him as well. Speaking of Jalapeno, he'll be at center starting. I think he only played in 1 game last year because of his injury. He got injured at Dallas. That sucked. Actually, no, he got injured in the 2nd game. I always think we opened at Dallas last year, but it was Jacksonville. So he played like 1.5 games last year, played very well, got injured, unfortunately, with a leg injury, I believe it was, and we didn't see him again for the rest of the year, but he's now slated in as the starter at center, so that's cool for him. Kevin Zeitler, the acquisition from the Browns, one of the better guards in the football. I'm very excited for him as well. He's looked great in the preseason when I do the breakdown videos. I love what I see from him. Haven't really seen a mistake yet, so keep that going, Kevin Zeitler. Mike Remmers is, a question mark. He has looked good in the preseason, so, that's definitely a great thing to see, but we'll see what he does in the regular season. His health is a big concern as well. He has an injury history labeled to his name, but, I hope he stays healthy. If he plays all 16 and plays good right tackle for us, that would be huge. We don't want to rotate between right tackles this year. That's not what we want. We want Mike Remmers to play all 16. That would make everything easier and just make the line be better overall. And I did have 9 offensive linemen at first, but I took one off. I took off Victor Solacco, and, I don't know. It's hard because it's, you have to bring 53 guys on the roster, and I felt like I was leaving a guy out before, so I ended up having 8 guys on the offensive line. So, of course, there's Chad Slade, who played 4 years at Auburn, was on the Texans practice squad for a few years. Shermer likes that he can play multiple positions on the line, so I think the Giants will keep him. They have them in their 2nd unit. On every preseason game, so they definitely play him right after the starters, which is good to see. And then Nick Gates is there. He played at Nebraska for 3 years. He's also versatile. Missed all of last year with a foot injury, so he'll be back, hopefully healthy the whole season. And of course, we know Spencer Pulley. He started 9 games for us last year. I think we got him from I almost said San Diego, Los Angeles Chargers. We got him from there, I believe, and he filled in for Jalapeno at center, and he played pretty well. It wasn't like he was overly impressive. I think he did his job. Didn't really stand out, but he's good for depth reasons, so I think he'll definitely make the team. We signed him for 3 years, $9 million anyway, so he better make the team. So that's pretty much it for O-line. Guys we had to cut, I mentioned Victor Solacco. I did have him making it at first, but I really wanted to bring a defensive guy on this team. My boy Paul Adams from Mizzou will not make it. A good right tackle there. If I was GM, I would take him, but we'll see. I think Paul Adams will play a lot in the 4th preseason game, which is tomorrow. And you guys are probably wondering why I didn't wait till the game tomorrow. I probably won't have time. I think I'm having a pretty busy weekend, so that's kind of why I did this now. Kind of stupid, but obviously, I wish I did it after the game, but I don't know if I'll have time for it. And of course, George Asafo-Ajayi, who hasn't played or practiced since like the 3rd practice with a concussion. I think the Giants are going to have to IR him. I don't know if it's going to be for a whole season, but I don't think they want to cut him right away without giving him like a real shot. Of course, it sucks because of an injury. It is a concussion. These things are tricky. We don't know when he's going to come back. He has not practiced since I said the 2nd or 3rd practice. It's been like a month. and I think the Giants will end up IRing him, which sucks. That obviously means injured reserve. He won't count as a spot on the roster, but he will still be on the Giants roster, but he won't count towards the 53. So I think that's basically what you have to do. So that'll do it for offensive line. On to the defensive side now. So at defensive line, we have Dexter Lawrence, our 17th overall pick this year. Had some bright moments in the preseason. He obviously needs to get better with the pass rushing moves, but that'll develop as his career goes on. You can't expect him to be just great right away. I think he'll get better as his career goes on, and we'll see him grow as the 2019 season goes on, so I'm excited to see his growth this year. BJ Hill hopefully has a great sophomore year, had a great rookie year for us, second on the team in sacks behind Olivier Vernon, and he got 5.5 of them, so I think, he could improve on that. Hopefully he will. He should have a big year. I'm excited for him as well. Dalvin Tomlinson entering year 3, one of the few Jerry Reese guys remaining on this team. Seems like Gettleman likes him. He does have 2 years left on this team for his contract remaining, so we'll see what he could do this year. It's a pretty big year for him if he wants to earn a big payday in the future. RJ McIntosh did not play much last year. He's a former 5th or 6th round pick out of Miami, I think it was, for us. I think he played in maybe a handful of games last year. I do have a highlight tape on him. I'll probably put some highlights in here as I'm talking. Olsen Pierre was, I don't want to say acquired from the Cardinals, but signed after he was with the Cardinals. I think he got released by the Cardinals or was a free agent. We got him now as insurance behind these guys. I think he'll just be a backup. He did have a sack in the last game or 2 games ago against the Bears, so that was nice to see. And Chris Slayton, who's had some nice plays this preseason as well, was our 7th round pick, I believe, this year from Syracuse. So hopefully he's the kind of guy that just, people looked over because he went to Syracuse, and hopefully he's a diamond in the rough and could be a good player for us for many years. On to inside linebacker. You guys know I'm not a big fan of this guy, but Alec Ogletree, we're paying him a lot of money, need him to play well. I wasn't too impressed last year. People want to say, oh, he had 5 interceptions. Well, yeah, okay, 5 interceptions. I mean, he did have some nice plays on those interceptions, but interceptions are not something that are steady for linebackers every year. So he did have a good year with that, but I wouldn't count on him getting 5 again. Tay Davis has had an up and down preseason. Missed some tackles, had some coverage issues, but it's between him and Ryan Connolly, the next guy, who's going to start. I do have BJ Goodson making this team, which is a surprise to people probably. I did mention last video he might get cut, which is still a possibility. It's between him and Nate Stupart, it seems like at this point. And, I'm not sure what's going to happen or what the Giants want to do at that position exactly, but I think Goodson is good enough to make this team. I think he should. I think cutting him right now would kind of be a mistake. I mean, you need him in case Ogletree or one of the starters goes down. I think you can put Goodson right in there, and he'll make up for it. So as I mentioned before, I had 9 offensive linemen making the team at first, and I cut Victor Solacco, and the reason is because I wanted room for Josiah Tawafa. Hopefully I'm pronouncing that right. Linebacker from UTSA, and I think Marcus Davenport, the Saints defensive end, went there, so at least I have one recognizable name. I'm really not too familiar with this school, but the interesting thing about Tawafa is that he was a defensive end converted to a linebacker, so he has history with both positions, which is pretty big. He's 6'2", 245, had 9 tackles for loss in his sophomore year, had 6 sacks his sophomore year as well when he's listed at defensive end, then moved to linebacker, had 11.5 tackles for loss last year, 4.5 sacks. So I like the fact that he can play both positions. He does have pass rushing moves, which is cool. So I think he's more versatile. He'll definitely be a special teams guy, brings a lot of energy, has that cool haircut like Troy Polamalu. So, I mean, that's pretty cool as well. And I'm just tired of Nate Stupart. I mean, I've seen him drop a pick 6 in this preseason. He just seems to miss tackles and stuff like that. We kind of know what Nate Stupart is at this point. It seems like Shermer likes him, so I don't know if the Giants are going to cut him or not. I'd kind of be surprised. It's kind of like a bold take type of thing, but we'll see. I hope Josiah makes it. I think he'd be a better fit for this team, brings more energy, can do more, but we'll see. The Giants do love Nate Stupart, so I mean, we'll find out in late August what actually happens. So for outside linebacker, of course, Lorenzo Carter, Kareem Martin, who is slated to make like $5 or $6 million this year, which is crazy it seems like, but he's going to be on this team, guys. I mean, they can't cut him now. Marcus Golden's going to be there, a free agent acquisition from this offseason. Hopefully he goes back to his 2015 form, as I mentioned. And there's one of my favorites, O'Shane Zimenez, the guy from Old Dominion, who's had a very nice preseason. Very excited to see what he can do. I'm not sure if he'll make a big rookie impact, but I think he'll get on the field enough where he'll get some sacks. I don't know if he'll have a lot. I mean, hopefully he'll have like 3 or 4 sacks and have himself a decent rookie season. I don't know if the playing time is going to be there. If for some reason Lorenzo Carter or Kareem Martin went down, that would open up some room for O'Shane to get more snaps, and we'll see what he's truly made of. But I think he's a 2 or 3 year project at this point. I don't think O'Shane's going to come out and be an explosive outside linebacker right away. I think we have to work on him a little bit, but he's young, and this Giants defense is also very young, so I think a lot of guys have to focus on improving. And as I said, we're playing for 2020s. I mean, for those of you who think we're going 10-6, 11-5 this year, I wish, but I just don't see it. I'm being logical here. This is a building year for this defense. One of the few guys who's not too young on this defense, Janoris Jenkins, is our top cornerback right now. I did make the bold prediction that I think by the end of the year, DeAndre Baker will undoubtedly be our best cornerback. I hope that happens. Has a minor injury right now, but he should be okay for week 1. So, of course, DeAndre Baker is next, our late first-round pick. Traded up to get him. Hope he has a good year. I'm expecting big things from him. He's a dog. I like what he brings to the table. Very athletic, and, he's just the type of guy that has the right personality for a good cornerback, that's for sure. Grant Haley played some slot corner for us last year, had some good moments, had some not great moments, but overall pretty nice year for an undrafted rookie. I think he'll build on that. He'll come back better. People are raving about him at practice this year, so we'll see what he brings. Some people thought Julian Love was going to be slot corner, myself included. Of course, they moved him to safety, so now that job is Grant Haley's. Needs to stay healthy, play some good slot corner for us. Corey Ballantyne, who's been a nice surprise, our 5th or 6th round rookie. I think it was 5th round rookie out of a college that I'd never heard of. So, I mean, he's came in, got shot on draft night, and it's been a crazy career so far for him. But he's been a nice story. He's played with the first team defense at some points in the preseason, made some nice plays, had some rough moments in the Bengals game, but overall it's been pretty promising. So I'm excited to see what he can do. This guy has not been promising. Sam Beal dealing with another injury right now. I forget what his injury is. I can't keep up with these damn injuries for the Giants rookies at this point. But he's a 3rd-round pick for us. Hasn't played a regular season game yet. Of course, missed all of last year. Gettleman took a risk. This guy has an injury history. Hope he can play this year. And as you can see on my depth chart right now, I'm having it projected that he's going to play week 1, but we'll see. There's no guarantee. If he went on the IR tomorrow, I would not be shocked. I wish I remembered what his injury was. I probably should have looked it up, but you guys can do that too. And Antonio Hamilton, who no one really talks about, will be there for special teams. I don't really see them cutting him. They like having him around, so I think he'll be there. Not much to say about him, though. He won't be playing as a regular cornerback for this team. Hopefully not, unless there's a crazy amount of injuries, but he does have a spot on special teams. At safety, we have the big piece from the Odell Beckham trade, Jabril Peppers, who I think is 23 years old, entering year 3, very promising. We saw one bad moment in preseason where he got beat for the touchdown by the tight end. I think CJ Uzomah on the Bengals, that was his one bad moment. But outside of that, I think he had a very nice preseason. He will make mistakes, guys. He's not perfect. I mean, I don't think he's as bad as Landon Collins in coverage, but it's a work in progress. He's not going to be perfect yet. He's not Ed Reed, but we're working on it. He's 23 years old. He'll get better as the season goes on. I mean, unless he gets injured or something like that. But if he plays all 16 games, you're going to see improvements for Jabril Peppers. And in 1 or 2 years, he can be one of the best safeties in football. That's his ceiling. So I'm excited to watch him. A guy who is definitely not young on this defense, Antoine Bethea, I think is 35 years old. I mean, I don't know what they're going to do with him exactly. He's looked kind of rough in the preseason so far. I don't know if that's just an old guy not wanting to play in preseason, not giving it his all. If that's the case, I respect that, but, we just don't know as fans right now if he doesn't have much left or if he's just not really trying. So we'll see when week 1 comes around what he's actually got. I hope he's a nice surprise for us. Michael Thomas, a Pro Bowler from last year. Great to have him as a backup safety in case one of these first 2 guys goes down or Antoine Bethea plays like crap. I think Michael Thomas is more of a fill-in for Jabril Peppers' position, but we'll see. And then Julian Love would probably fill in for Antoine Bethea if something were to happen to him. I think the Giants' plan right now, no one's talking about it really, is that Julian Love, of course, is going to a new position. He played cornerback at Notre Dame in college, but I think, going to a new position, I think a lot of it's going to be him learning from Antoine Bethea. and he's going to sit back for a year, learn from Bethea, watch him, get a lot of learning experience from it, and then next year the Giants will try to put him at starting free safety. I'm not positive, but that's just the way I look at it, so we'll see. I think Antoine Bethea is going to play this year, try to teach Julian Love how to play the position and stuff like that, and then next year maybe Julian Love will be the starter, but we'll see how he progresses. And special teams, of course, Aldrich Rosas, the kicker, was phenomenal last year. I think he missed one kick because he had an injury, and the kick was on target, but he missed it because he was hurt. So, I mean, the guy basically did not miss a kick last year outside of that one. Riley Dixon had an up and down season. It started well, kind of tailed off at the end, but he was able to win the job this year in preseason. I think the Giants brought in like 2 guys to give him competition. He should beat them out. I'd be shocked if he was cut. And of course, Zach Diassi's here for like his 47th year. I think he's been around since 2007. 2-time Super Bowl champion. Cool to see him back. I hope he plays forever because it's cool to have another guy from that 07 team over here. So, I mean, Diassi's on one side and Eli Manning's on the other side, the longest tenured guys on this team. It might be a surprise that Scott Chandler didn't make the... Wait, no, not Scott. Sean Chandler did not... Scott Chandler's a tight end from, like, the Bills 5 years ago. I don't know where my mind's going right now. Sean Chandler did not make this team. He was an undrafted free agent that we signed last year, played some pretty good minutes for us when he was in, so I don't have him making this team, and maybe the Giants do bring him in, but I'm not expecting it right now. I think they have enough guys in their secondary where they don't need him, but Sean Chandler will find another home. I think he'll get another shot for an NFL team that needs more secondary help. Fortunately, we don't really need that right now. And actually, speaking of secondary and us improving there, I made a position ranking of the Giants this year and where I think they're strongest at, so let's take a look at that. So I have it listed at from worst to best for some reason. I should have did it the other way, but let's start with the best. I have defensive line. I like our guys there. I think we have enough depth there as well. Dexter Lawrence should be good. B.J. Hill should be good. Dalvin Tomlinson should be good. I like R.J. McIntosh backing up as well. Olsen Pierre looks serviceable, and Chris Slayton looked pretty good in the preseason as well, so I like them. Offensive line, you can make the argument that they should be number 1. I mean, I've seen a lot of bad stuff from them over the last few years, so I'm kind of like nervous to put them at number 1. But hey, they could be. I wouldn't be shocked by it. Number 3, tight ends. I like our guys there. Evan Engram should have a huge year. C.J. Conrad is a guy with potential. Same with Garrett Dickerson. I love Red Ellison, as you guys know. Quarterback, I think we're pretty good there this year. I mean, last year it wasn't that great. Of course, Eli Manning had an average year at best, I would say, but it wasn't great. But now we have Daniel Jones backing him up, so I think we have enough good options at quarterback. Not sure who quarterback 3 is going to be, but we'll find out soon enough. Our secondary, a lot of good guys there as well. It's a very young group of guys, so I can't really put them higher, but there's a lot of talent there. They just have to put it together. Number 6, I mean, Saquon Barkley single-handedly made this position group better than 2 other position groups. He's that good of a player. If Saquon were to go down, then this running back group goes to last, and there's really not much of an argument you can make about it. Linebackers, I mean, I'm not a fan of our inside linebackers right now. I'm concerned with Alec Ogletree and Tay Davis. Maybe Ryan Conley starts. I have no idea. But there's no one at inside linebacker that's a game-changing type player. I mean, we don't really have a game changer in general, but especially at linebacker, I'm kind of concerned at inside linebacker. Outside linebacker, there is talent there. Lorenzo Carter should be better this year than he was last year. You guys know I like O'Shane. Kareem Martin, kind of disappointed last year. And Marcus Golden, hopefully, is his old self. But if he's not, then the linebackers might not be that good. So we'll see. And wide receivers, I mean, Golden Tate's out the first 4 games. That sucks. You lost a top 5 talent at receiver, Odell Beckham, this offseason. So, I mean, it's definitely not as a talented group as it was. But I think the Giants wide receivers should be a reliable group. If Cody Latimer could play every game, which you can't count on, but I hope he does. Benny Fowler seems to have a connection with these quarterbacks, as I said. Darius Slayton has a chance to be a good receiver. TJ Jones should fill in for Golden Tate and be just fine. And, of course, Sterling Shepard has a chance to break out this year and be really good. So we'll see. So that's how I ranked it. There's not much else to say. I don't know when the next Giants commentary is going to be. If you guys want to give me ideas of what to do for future Giants videos before the season starts, then let me know. I think we still have like a week and a half left or something like that. So can't wait for the season to start. But if you made it this far, I appreciate it. Thank you. And I'll talk to you next time.